Good day, learners. Let me first introduce myself. By the way, I'm Roger Adornado from BSED English 1A. So for today's discussion, I'm going to discuss the language teaching and learning practices have been influenced by different concepts. So first, we need to determine what is language. So language basically is a system of structurally related elements for the coding of meaning. So there are three language views. The first view is the structural view. So basically, structural view, it sees language as a linguistic system made of various subsystems such as phonological, morphological, lexical, and etc. to sentence. Each language has been finite number of such structural items. To learn a language means to learn these structural items so as to be able to understand and produce. For example, to understand the function of the one grammatical case, it must be contrast to all other cases and more widely to all other grammatical categories of the language. So the next view is functional view of language. It considers that language to be both linguistics system and means of doing things. The majority of our everyday language use involve functional activities like greetings, introducing ourselves, giving advice, or explaining a certain thing, and so on. So as a result, learners should study language in order to do these things. To perform function, we must understand how to combine grammatical rules and vocabulary to express notions that perform functions. So the next view is the interactional view of language. So basically, it views language as a result of communication whose primary function is to establish and maintain interpersonal relationship between people, or as it means of realizing social transactions between individuals. For an instant situation, if a person is unable to communicate effectively, then a conversation may lead or it may result in misunderstanding or have an adverse effect on social factors. As a result, in addition to learning the language syntax and vocabulary, we also need to understand how to use them in variety of communicative contexts. Therefore, learners not only need to know or we will need to know the grammar and vocabulary of language, but also need to know the rules for using them in the whole range of communicative contexts. So now let's move on to the next topic, which is the theories in language learning. So the first theory is the behaviorist theory. So according to Skinner, behaviorist theory equated language to verbal behavior, therefore believes that language acquisition like any other behavior can be observed rather than trying to explain the mental system underlying these types of behavior. On the other hand, it suggested that language developed as a result of certain behaviors, such as imitating what they hear and responding to the feedback they get. Because, or let, like for example, when a baby says up and when a baby says up and a parent lifts him up, for example, the meaning of the word up is reinforce. So basically, in this theory is we can acquire language by our behavior. So the next theory is cognitive theory. Cognitive theory, according to Chomsky theory, claim that language acquisition advice built into human brain allows children to pick language naturally. This hypothesis claims that language acquisition device enables people to internalize a sophisticated set of rules that can produce every possible sentences in their language, which is opposite on what Skinner said, right? And one influential idea of this theory is we are allowed to to create our sentences based on the understanding of a certain rules. So the next theory is constructivist theory. So the next theory is constructivist theory. So According to constructivist theory, learning is process in which the learner creates meaning based on personal experiences and prior knowledge. Like, for example, a teacher present a class problem to measure the length of the bond paper. So rather than to starting a problem by introducing the ruler, the teacher allows the student to reflect to construct their own methods of measurement. The last theory is the social constructivist theory. So basically in this theory, it is focuses on collaborative nature of learning. Knowledge develops from how people interact with each other, culture, society at large. Like for example, an interaction between a teacher and student. So the student rely on his or her teacher to help create their building blocks. And learning from from them helps them to construct their knowledge, right? So that is the concept of social constructivist theory. So now let's move on to the next topic. So the next topic is the different components of the English grammar. Let's move on to the next topic, which is the different components of English grammar. So, in order to understand grammatical analysis, we must learn a certain amount of terminology because confusion arises when these terms are not accurately understood, right? So actually, there are three basic things going on during grammatical analysis. So we should keep this three straight in our mind, which is the level, label, and functions. In level, language is made up of sounds, words, phrases, clauses, sentences, paragraphs, and even more complex pieces such as essays, chapters, and books, right? So labels are given to various levels according to their function in context. As far as grammatical categories, the term we will use are commonly known as parts of speech, such as noun, pronoun, verb, adverb, conjunction, interjection, preposition, and adjective. These are the 8 labels that we need to know or we need to memorize to in order to have a grammar analysis. So, next is their functions. Is functions. So, basically, if we know the 8 parts of speech, so we should know their function each because sometimes grammatical categories can be changed their function because sometimes like verb can be a noun. So we need to know their function to identify to have a grammar analysis. So now I'm going to differentiate these following terms or words or definitions. So, prescriptive grammar versus descriptive grammar. So basically, descriptive grammar is a study of language, structure, and norms as they are applied in daily life by its speakers from all walks in life, including both standards and non-standards variant, is known as descriptive grammar. On the other hand, prescriptive grammar outlines the proper usage of language and its grammatical use. Oral versus written language. So oral language is designed to be listened and the sound conversational, which means involves speaking and listening skills. And while written language uses larger vocabulary and it's more formulative and reading skill or more formal and reading skills. So that might be all for my discussion and I hope you learned something from me. Bye!